Obviously, a lot of news to cover, but as you are making those plans, we've got to know what the weather looks like. Stefano, it looks pretty similar to yesterday from what I can see right now.
It does look a little similar. Now, we are going to watch very closely. Still tropical storm.
Right now, we're following breaking news from this morning as we've just learned that a man is dead after an incident at Whiskey Row. News 4's Alexandria Adams has been live at the scene for a while now, Alexandria, and for locals and even people visiting Nashville, this is a really popular spot in the middle of downtown Broadway. What have you learned so far?
Lindsey.
Yeah, Alexandria, and you could even see from the video there, a really popular spot right in the middle of Broadway in downtown Nashville. Thank you so much. There are new allegations surrounding the dog muzzle sent to the state's former top vaccine official. She says she was fired in retaliation for trying to let teenagers choose whether they want to be vaccinated. A state investigation claims the muzzle, reportedly sent to Dr. Michelle Fiscus, was purchased through an Amazon account and a credit card in her name. Dr. Fiscus denies the entire report. News 4's Maurice Payton has her interview. It's important to note here that the report did specify the muzzle was bought with the doctor's American Express card. What we don't know is who sent it. Developing this morning, Governor Bill Lee issued a new executive order that allows parents to decide if their kid wears a mask to school. The governor's order will let parents opt out of mask mandates in their school district and also opt out if the health board steps in. The governor said a lot of frustration about masks has been centered on children in grades K through 12. He says the new order gives parents the final say on what happens to their children. Governor Lee also encouraged Tennesseans to get the COVID vaccine, even pointing out that he himself got it. Right now, only 40% of our state is fully vaccinated. Another major storyline here is that districts with their own health departments didn't get any notice ahead of the order. Many of them currently have mask mandates in place, and they say they're keeping it that way. Director of Metro Schools, Dr. Adrian Battle, released a statement saying in part that masking policies are a key mitigation strategy to keeping children safe. To allow anyone to opt out for a reason other than a legitimate medical need would make them ineffective and require more students to quarantine and stay out of the classroom. Back to our schools now, where many students are probably starting to get a little bit antsy about returning to in-person classes this year. If this is you or your child, we have some of the best advice to help ease those worries. A pediatric psychologist from Cleveland says it's normal for a child to feel nervous. To help out with that, offer them reassurance and remind them that other kids are going through the same thing. It'll also help if you get them used to socializing again so they know it's okay to be around people. President Biden says he's surprised by the rapid collapse and that the Afghan military is to blame. NBC's Jay Gray has a closer look at the developing situation. President Biden is the fourth U.S. president to grapple with America's longest war. The president has consistently said he would not pass it on to the next administration. Yesterday, we saw local reaction on the situation in Afghanistan. We start with Senator Bill Hagerty, who called this a failure for the Biden administration. Senator Marsha Blackburn is also weighing in. She wrote on Twitter that President Biden should save the lives of women rather than just speaking about it. Now to Haiti, where the search continues for survivors after Saturday's deadly earthquake. Heartbreaking news as the government says the death toll is over 1,400 right now. More than 13,000 homes are destroyed and close to 14,000 others are damaged. Tropical Depression Grace could bring more flooding and mudslides. Now, if things do get worse, the U.S. Coast Guard is already there helping. People are still living outside despite the fact that some homes are still standing. That's because a lot of them are worried about aftershocks happening. We're also getting a closer look at the devastating wildfires that are burning right now in Spain and Greece. Do you see that? So far, they've forced evacuations and destroyed tens of thousands of acres. Spanish authorities evacuated nearly 1,000 people to protect them from a wildfire that's actually been going on since Saturday. Flames have destroyed at least 29,000 acres with around 1,000 firefighters battling the flames. In Greece, strong winds spread two wildfires near Athens, threatening homes and forcing entire villages to evacuate. More than 500 wildfires have broken out in recent weeks across Greece, which, by the way, is battling some of its highest temperatures in decades. My goodness, Stefano, just heartbreaking video to see there. Last week it was Bonnaroo, and this week it's Pilgrimage Fest. You will now have to show proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test to go to the music fest that's next month. The test has to be taken within 48 hours of the show. Pilgrimage Fest says if you have a ticket, you'll get more information about this sent to your email, so be on the lookout for that. And last week, Bonnaroo also announced that everyone has to have a full COVID-19 vaccine or a negative COVID test. That music festival starts on September 2nd, and it's right here in Coffee County. People who are not fully vaccinated will still need to have a negative COVID test, but this one is going to be within 72 hours of attending. Right now, we know that no children were on board when the bus collided with an SUV on Highway 49. It was a really bad crash, as you can see there, and investigators say the SUV hit the school bus head on. The driver of that SUV unfortunately did pass away in the crash. This morning, the TBI have been called in to investigate a deputy shooting. Police say this all happened after a man drove right at them. 26-year-old Antonio Jackson was killed at the East Memphis apartment. Officers from the gang unit made contact with him in his car. That's when officers say he accelerated at them and struck an officer. The officer fired, killing the driver. The officer is now in the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Developing right now, the Metro Health Department will have third doses of the COVID vaccine at its distribution sites starting today. News 4's Brittany Weiner joins us this morning with more. So we were talking about this at the top of the show.
Yeah.
A lot of you are probably talking about it.
A lot of people have been wondering about these booster shots, Lindsay. So, this is the latest development. They'll say it's coming, but no confirmation just yet.
And whether or not we have to get them or not.
Exactly.
Thank you, Brittany. We'll stay on top of that for you. Across the country, there's a major need for school bus drivers. National School Transportation says it expects to have trouble providing consistent service this year. Officials say COVID-19 related concerns are a key reason for a lack of drivers. The NSTA says unemployment benefits also add to the problem. This morning, we're seeing a different side of the Williamson County School Board meeting. The dust has settled since the board voted to mandate masks in elementary schools. But even a week later, parents still feel passionate about the decision. News 4's Rebecca Cardenas brings us the very latest. A Tennessee man who has now spent 88 days in the hospital with COVID-19 is taking time to urge others to take this virus seriously. Steve Setchler is just 43 years old, and he didn't have any pre-existing health conditions. He was first in a coma and then on a machine which basically served as his heart and lungs.
Regret it.
And you could just see how much of a struggle it was for him to even speak. Doctors say his lungs were the most damaged they have ever seen. Now on 4, the Nissan factory in Smyrna is going to close for 2 weeks. Now this is all due to a shortage in computer chips. Yeah, this has been a big story this year. The company says a COVID-19 outbreak at a factory in Malaysia is affecting production worldwide. And T-Mobile confirmed the wireless company was hit by a data breach, but they won't say how widespread the damage may be. Metro schools just returned to the classroom, but many are going to have to go back home after positive COVID cases. Our Justin Beasley has the very latest numbers and reaction from some parents who are calling this alarming. A new study shows that children under the age of 3 may be more likely than older kids to spread COVID-19 in their family. The article from JAMA Pediatrics has different information than earlier studies that said young children were less likely to spread the virus. We're sharing new information on a COVID outbreak on a Carnival cruise. 27 people were on the ship, and most of them were staff members, and they all tested positive. The outbreak was uncovered on day 4 of an 8-day cruise. Goodness gracious, did you see that? Quick thinking by some firefighters in Alabama saved this man's life after he got trapped in a fire. The man was working in a lift 25 feet off the ground when it hit live power lines. There was no way to get him down until the power was completely shut off. Firefighters quickly created a safety net using a tent that you can see he jumps down there, and they urged the man to jump. Well, he eventually did it, and he was taken to the hospital for a leg injury and smoke inhalation. But amazing he was okay there, my goodness. We have some new video to show you from Panama City, Florida. This is Tropical Storm Fred lashing that area as it made landfall. We know that winds got up to 65 miles per hour. Now, we haven't seen any major reports of damage or destruction so far, so that's a good thing. People on food assistance are about to get the biggest jump they've ever seen. 27%. The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP, is increasing the food benefit program given to a person from the average of $121 to $169.